Well, the name will be said just to be the fourth wall. This is where people dance and party. This is where they came to buy food and eat. Where the parking lot is, and where the bathroom over here is. This is where the porta potty used to be. There was containers, big containers of trash and equipment and stuff like that. That was farther over there. And do you see the forest all around us? Guys, when you come into a 3-day party, you don't sleep in an hotel. You come in with a tent. And you sleep with your friends in the tent. And when you wake up, you're going straight to the party and going back to the tent and going back to the party and coming and grab some food and having fun and enjoy life. Okay? It was a sunrise session. Any of you been in a big, massive music festival before?
Many times.
Yeah. Exactly. The sunrise session is one of the craziest moments. And it was the sunrise session of the last day. So the best DJs, everybody was on the floor, everybody was back, everybody was on the moment, and suddenly, pew! They started to hear the rockets first. Then they heard the silence, because when you have 7 seconds, it doesn't necessarily mean that the siren going to come before the missile. And they started to hear that, but this is the sad part. Nobody was too moved by that, because guys, welcome to Israel. Every summer we have missiles from that area. So, here we go again. People were more concerned about the fact that, oh shoot, my party is destroyed. How am I going to get a refund? Am I going to be in the next one? That's what's relevant to me right now. 20 minutes later, something like that, they started to hear the gunshots. And that was the unusual moment. Because gunshots, this is real. The main road is over here. Do you see how the roads used to look like? Nothing, nothing. Okay? That used to be the main entrance. They came inside of here and they started to hear the balagan. There isn't any shelters over here. There is one. Okay? It's not this one. It's not the other one. The one that was here, nobody knows where it is today. We're still searching for it. But they started to hear the gunshots. The police officers that was over here and the security guard that were over here started to tell everybody, go to the cars, evacuate the place. And people tried to. But did you saw how small the entrance was? And 3,000 people. How many cars were here?
No, די, מסכנים, אבל זה תירגעי חיים, הכל טוב. די. תורידי אותה. בואי, תעלי לאוטו, את רוצה לעלות? סע. תעלי. איפה לעלי?
There was like a traffic, and then the people that successfully went to the car and go on this road, they probably going to meet at least 1 or 2 or 5 or 7 tenders of terrorists. A lot of the time, the terrorists going to dress up like soldiers, like IDF soldiers. But then the IDF soldier going to shoot at you.
ما عندي شطاف.
So people started to run, massively run. Some of them hide inside of the food court. From that, we have Eden Yerushalmi. I might going to talk about her later. Some of them hide inside of the containers. Not a lot of survivors over there. Some of them hide inside of the toilet. No survivors there. The most amount of them went to the other side of the road and hide inside of the trees that you see. All of the pictures that you saw, people like hiding inside of a tree. They've been there for hours inside of the tree. Some of them get all the way to the agricultural field and survive. But it was chaotic. People called to their families to say goodbye. People called to their families to say what's going on. People called to the police and nobody answered because the phone line just collapsed. You need to understand something about the Nova specifically. That was a surprise to the terrorists as well. The terrorists did not know not about this festival and not about the Psyduck festival and not a music festival, an illegal one. Smaller party with 600 people that just came to celebrate and enjoy life. No from here, okay? And that caught them by surprise, and they thought to themselves, we hit the jackpot. To the kibbutzim, they came with maps. They knew exactly where I have a dog, how many people live in that house, how many there, what do I need to pass. Over here, we just have people. I need kidnappers. I want to create damage. What a joy. In the most sarcastic way, I'm sorry about that. As I mentioned earlier, the government did not touch over here. This is not about the government. This is about how people want to cherish their loved ones. How people want to make sure that everybody going to know what happened to their loved ones. This is a personal story of each and every picture that you see, and the stories that you see are the people that didn't survive. There is more than 2,000 people that survived that. If you survive over here, how would your life look like? Are you going back to normal? Are you safe? Are you not? Is everything okay? From the Psyduck, we're talking about the most amount of people killing themselves since the 7th.
Died here. One of them was one of my neighbor's son. He was a policeman. It was one of the policemen that was in charge here with the protection of this party. Of course, it was only a very small police force that was here in charge just in case of little violence or thieves or usual that can happen everywhere. Nobody was thinking about what is going to happen. That's why only a few tens of policemen were here with regular guns, not with army guns, and where they couldn't do so much. They tried to fight. My neighbor's son died here, trying to help others. And as well, where I worked in this period, I worked in a tourist company in the office. We had a colleague, and after everybody knew about what happened in Israel next day, and Nova. We hope that at least we don't know personally anybody, but our colleague came to job with a face that said something bad and told us that her daughter was here in the party. So for 1 week, she didn't know anything about her. She presumed that if she doesn't know, she hoped, of course, that something will happen for the good, but she presumed that if she knew nothing about her daughter, something bad will happen. And after 1 week, they found her body, indeed. We were together with others. So her name was Maya Chaim. Chaim is life, family name. So she celebrated life, like our guide said. And finally she found, unfortunately, her death here. Her mother didn't have the moral power to stay in Israel anymore. She was from Poland, basically, and she came back to Poland. And this is how this story ends, fortunately, unfortunately. We go now? Sarah is talking to us.
Here, his brother's body was found. He was here at the Nova Festival with 2 of his friends. Their names everywhere together because the three of them were friends from high school, and were partying together. They were 28 at the time. And so for their story, they were here. They heard the rockets going off, and as many partygoers at the time thought there were fireworks or something that the organization, the festival, was putting on. It was kind of a show as the new day was starting, and knowing what they knew from their IDF training and knowing what they knew about the exit, the three of them just kind of said, like, let's hold back a little bit, and then when it cools down, when it's a little easier to get out, we'll get out of here. And so when they finally made it to Omri's car, they were driving off, and our friend's brother Omri was shot twice in the heart, killing him instantly. At the time, the three friends had a group chat going with their three dads, sharing their live location, on the phone with them. And our friend's dad kept asking, where's Omri? Where's Omri? Why is he not talking? And he basically just said, don't bullshit me. What's happening? And they said, Omri's dead. And they had a choice to make, whether to leave his body and escape, or try and come back here to get some medical treatment. And that's what they did. So the entrance that we came in, when we're leaving it, they originally headed to the left to try and get down that way. But they were obviously unable to do so. So they came back over to this area for some medical treatment. Then they tried to go back out to the right, weren't able to get any help there either, and kind of ended up driving in circles around here, kind of getting stuck. And they knew that they were taking fire. They knew there wasn't much they could do. So the two living friends stayed in their car that was parked here and played dead. And terrorists came up and shot them both about 15 to 20 times. Obviously, just kind of opened fire on them. And because they had their live location shared with family, essentially they knew where their bodies were. And so although everyone was, calling for help from the army, they had an individual friend who was stationed in the area. And after the firing had gone down, he came later that night and was able to find their bodies and brought them to the hospital. So they were the first three identified murder victims of the Nova site. Kind of similar to Livia mentioned, most people weren't identified for days later. So there's, of course, many stories of other people that they know that were here. And there was a commander whose son they were friends with that they knew were here, and he was calling his dad, basically saying, we need help. You have to send your unit. You have to send people. And the dad basically had to decide if he was going to be a commander or a father and risk his unit's lives or risk his son's life. And for him, it didn't make sense to risk multiple lives as opposed to one individual life. And his son was killed here. So they saw that his body was here, but he wasn't identified until about 3 days later when they came to pick up. These are the three of them. Omri, Sir, and Aviad.
This is the car that they came with the festival. מאושרים, לחגוג את החיים, excited to celebrate life. הרכב בו נמלטו פצועים. In the car, that's where they laid hurt. חסרי אונים. It's basically saying like how they stayed together through the rough time of how they were hurt and decided to stick together rather than to go away. As you heard Sarah's story, one of them was hurt originally, two of them tried to flee, but they didn't want to leave the third one behind. So it's basically a story about brotherhood and how sticking together as a team is more worth it than being on your own, and no man is left behind. So that's basically what it said.
Some of you guys have seen the Frisbee that's in our apartment. That is Omri on there. And that's something that the families did to spread the smile, spread the awareness. He was a very active person. They loved skiing, snowboarding, surfing. They're always in the water, always traveling, and he loved to frisbee. And so that's why the families kind of got together, the Ram family got together to create that specifically for Omri. And so that's why we kind of have him just kind of hanging out with us in our apartment. And of course, it is there to use. I know some people were a little nervous to use it because they didn't want to damage it or anything like that. But basically, the whole point of what the family's trying to do is spread the word of how important all the people were that were here. Because of course we learn about the terrorism and we had the geopolitical talks, things like that. But these are individual people. And then on that rock over there that has the memorial with their names on it, that was the last picture ever taken of them. That was them hiding, seeking shelter at the Nova site. And that's the last picture that they'll ever have. So yeah, any questions, anything like that?
Let's ensure that nothing will happen like this in the future. Thank you for sharing.
It's a place where you just sit and hang, because they will forever sit down and hang out together. And they're going to invite more and more people to hang and get to know each other.